morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie, and this is another weekend of clarinets, cats, and coffee. Today's video is going to center around making the most of your practice time. These days, everybody's busy, right? So many distractions, we have so much to do, but we love music and we love playing clarinet. So the tips today are going to help you stay on track and hopefully make a lot of progress this year in 2024. Really quick, I want to give a shout out to my patrons and channel members. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it. If you are watching this and you are not already a supporter of my channel, please consider joining channel membership or Patreon to show your love. Plus, everybody gets cool perks and it's a great time. So thank you. All right, so the first thing that we have to think about is where we're going to practice and optimizing our location. We're trying to prime ourselves for focused, intentional practice. So the first thing is find a quiet place to go where no one's going to be bothering you and where it's quiet, where you can focus. Second, this is extremely important. Put all of your devices either in a different room or turn them on airplane mode. The worst thing is to be practicing music on your iPad and notification after notification keeps coming in. And then all of a sudden you've just checked Facebook and Instagram 400 times in the past 30 minutes instead of actually practicing what you're supposed to. And the last thing is, it kind of depends on where your space is, but let other members of your household know that you're practicing and that when you're practicing, they cannot bother you. You want to try to work efficiently and mindfully and minimize all of those distractions in your life. The second big thing is to create a regular practice schedule. I like to look at my week ahead of time and determine the best time to practice within the week. My schedule varies from week to week at different points in the year, so I have to strategize when I'm going to be practicing. That being said, when all things are going the way I want, I actually like to practice earlier in the day because I can be the most focused in my practice. And it's also kind of like working out. You work out earlier in the day, then you've got the rest of your day to do other things, and you don't have this thing that you have to do looming in the background of your head. If you're a student at school, like many of my students, they will take part of their lunch break after they eat to go and practice in their practice rooms at that time. Some of them stay after school, some even show up to school early. And so they build in practice chunks throughout their day, which leads me to a next great and very important point. It's a lot better for you to schedule shorter practice sessions throughout the day rather than one big chunk all at once. For example, if you want to practice an hour and a half every day, maybe give yourself 3 30-minute chunks or 2 45-minute chunks throughout the day. For me, if I'm practicing more than an hour all at once, I need to take frequent breaks to give my mind a rest so I'm not working on a challenge feeling like I'm banging my head against the wall, because we've all been there, really frustrated trying to get something down. So that kind of obsessive behavior is, in my experience, less likely to happen when I strategize shorter practice sessions and or build in breaks throughout a longer one. My next suggestion is to take comfort in following a practice routine. Routine being start with a warm-up, move on to scales, work on technique, fundamentals, and then target your repertoire, your solo music, your band music, orchestra, whatever. Building a regular practice routine will eliminate having to sit there twiddling your thumbs, wondering what you're supposed to practice, and I don't know how to fill all this time of practice, and you waste less time, and also you eliminate the need to make decisions early in your practice session because you've already made it, right? So I think, like Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day so he could focus his mental energy on other things, so he wouldn't be wasting it on choosing what to wear each day kind of thing. So have your practice routine down and vary it when you need to, but that can be a very, very useful tool for long-term retention. The next big thing is to set goals, but more importantly, set realistic goals for yourself within the day. Yes, we all want to be able to play the Mendelssohn Scherzo at dotted quarter note equals 88, but if this is your first time learning that excerpt, chances are it's going to be a slow go at first. So a good example would be to maybe first day, just play the excerpt at a comfortable speed with good fundamentals, good articulation, proper hand position, learning how the thing sounds without the pressure of trying to play it fast. Then maybe the next day a goal could be to play it accurately with a metronome at any speed. And then you build off of that each day, little by little, maybe going up only a couple of metronome beats per day or even per week if it's exceedingly difficult for you. And that way you can make progress little by little, day by day over time. And within a very short, a surprisingly short amount of time, you can learn quite difficult music if you set little goals for yourself. This also brings me to my next point, which is to have a plan for tackling your challenges. So once we're warmed up, we've reviewed our scales, we've practiced different parts of our technique, it can be helpful to just take a moment and determine what your goals are for whatever music you are working on. So one specific goal could be to find a lyrical passage in your music and experiment with different ways to phrase it and come to a decision on how you're going to phrase that passage. Or another one would be, I'm going to figure out how to get a clean, clear attack in the upper clarion register today. So I'm going to work on this passage of Mendelssohn 3, for example. So by having a plan and being specific and working in small chunks, you can make great progress over time. I mentioned working in small chunks because one of, I think, the biggest problems that a lot of us have is we go into a practice session, we're not sure what we need to work on, so we just put the piece on, we start at the beginning, and we just play until we mess up, which is a huge no-no in my book, unless you really have no idea what's going on and you just have to do it. But most of the time when we're practicing, we have an idea of what parts of our repertoire we have to work on. So my suggestion is to target the sections that you need to practice, work on those, and then do a full run through of the piece or the movement or a large section. And when we're doing run throughs, do it with the intention of keeping going. Don't stop when you mess up, because stopping when you mess up becomes a habit too. So you have to keep going, and you have to train yourself to keep going even if you make mistakes. So target sections, practice in small chunks, and then plug it into the greater picture and then do your run-throughs. And don't forget, practicing every day is key to long-term retention. You are your own greatest teacher. A private instructor, a band director, orchestra conductors, they can offer feedback that you can take and use in your practice session to become better. So you have to practice with intention, and you have to know what goals you're trying to achieve, and you have to review those things every day if you truly want to see progress over the long term. Lastly, I find this very helpful, especially if I'm keeping a practice journal. You should be able to answer the following 4 questions at the end of each day of practice. 1, what did you practice? What did you work on? 2, what was one major focus of the day? 3, what was your biggest challenge today? And 4, what are your wins for the day? And they can be tiny wins, like my high C finally comes out when I tongue it, and it doesn't have a grunt anymore. If you're writing in a practice journal and you figure out how to make your high C not grunt anymore, write it down so you don't forget. All right, guys, I hope that helps guide you in your practice sessions to make the most of practicing. There are so many more things that I could I could tell you and that I could coach you on to help you stay on track in your practicing, but those are some of the big picture things. So good luck this year. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, a good week next week, and as always, happy practicing.